Happy Saturday night, everybody. I'm Angenette Levy. Thanks so much for joining me here on my channel. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please hit that thumbs up button on your way in. And I'd love to have you as a subscriber. Also, if you wouldn't mind, please tell me in the chat where you're watching from, city, state, country. I always love it when I see the different cities and states and countries in the comments. And I do try to go through each and every one of them and respond in some way, shape, or form. So I appreciate it. I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Thank you to the mods who are here tonight with me. Also, if you'd like to help out and be a mod, that would be cool. Let me know. And I can try to get in touch with you and we'll figure that out. That would be wonderful. Also, if you're watching on replay, thank you so much for watching on replay. I love it when I come back and see the replay viewers. We are going through some stuff tonight. We talked the other night about prison and why prison is not really a fun thing to go through. Jail, not fun, not a good thing to go through. And we know that somebody we've been covering here on the channel is not enjoying it. So we talked a lot about that on Thursday night. Over the last several days, over this past week, we've had some new photographs come out from both the crime scene and the house on King Road. And now Idaho State Police on, I guess, a holiday weekend thought we'll drop some other photos. And these are photos of Bryan Kohberger's apartment at Steptoe Village. This is a lot of student housing. A lot of students live here. Mostly graduate students live in this housing, apartments that are technically kind of Washington State University type housing. So we're getting an inside look at his apartment, which we haven't seen before, which is quite interesting because when they released the video of the raid, the search warrant, the execution of the search warrant on the apartment that was conducted on December 30th of 2022, it was redacted, all blacked out. Well, now we're actually seeing photographs of what was inside, and it's been described as Spartan inside. That's how Bill Thompson described it during one of the hearings, the plea hearing or the sentencing hearing. I think it was the plea hearing. He said it was Spartan. And I think that's accurate. That's an accurate description based on what we're seeing. So we're going to look through some of these photographs and show you what we've been seeing. We'll also look through some other photographs as well. But before we do that, I want to put up the photo of why we are here. And I will be doing that. I just messed it up though. Let me, the reason we are here is because of the 4 young people who were murdered, Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. I just tried to pull up the photo and it didn't quite work, but that's the reason we're here. A lot of people, the Judge Hippler has said, we need to not focus on the why. And, and I get that rationale. There is no why that's ever going to make sense. But this just was so heinous and so unnecessary. And to just let it go by the wayside and let's just forget it and put it away. This is not going away. I want the families to be able to move on and to heal. But this is just something that I think just is so inexplicable. Like these were truly innocent victims. And to try to not get some understanding out of this or try to see if there were signs that were missed or something like that, like to try to maybe prevent something like this in the future. I just, there's so much. I'm not saying that like anybody could have foreseen this, although some of the Washington State University interviews that have been conducted by Idaho State Police, some of these people make it sound like there were definitely signs. Some of these people thought he was going to be a predator, or that he was a predator. But there's got to be something to be learned here. At least I think there has to be something to be learned here. So I've been to these apartments before. After the arrest, I went to the apartments because that's what we do. When you cover news, you try to talk to people and figure out what's going on and what has gone on. And so I'm going to pull up these photos that were just released by the Idaho State Police in the last day or so. I think it was late Friday they came out. And, things are going to be trickling out, I think, for some time. Records, photographs. There was a hearing this past week with the city of Moscow where some of the families are trying to keep photographs private, particularly specifically of the bedrooms where the homicides were committed. And so there was a hearing on that matter. The city basically said they believe these photos are investigative records. They redacted them. They did so because they thought it was an invasion of privacy to show certain things, the bodies. The attorney for the Chapins and Maddie Mogan's family believed that none of the photos of the bedrooms, even in a redacted form, should be shown. So you could tell the city felt they did the right thing with what they did. The attorney for the families doesn't agree. So that was an interesting debate that took place during that hearing. As somebody who has covered crime for a long time and records requests, who handles sensitive materials and who makes judgment calls on what to show and what not to show, I found it to be an interesting hearing and interesting arguments on both sides. So a lot of people might not have found it interesting, but because I deal with this stuff, I found it to be interesting. So I'm going to pull up some of these pictures and show them to you. Again, this is the Steptoe Village apartments. And I've got some of these loaded into my software here. But others, I'm just going to share my screen. This first one I shared, it looks like they just found something black. And I can't really tell what that is. But they took a photo of something black. But I want to go back more to the beginning here, to really the beginning of the photos. And it looks like, this might actually be somebody else's stuff, actually, because there were some King Road photos in the beginning of this, too. Yeah, there were some photos from King Road in the beginning of this. So here's basically the front door to the apartment where BK was living. And again, this is the Steptoe Village apartments. This is from King Road, 1122 King Road. That's the sectional couch. That's the outside. Obviously, they dropped some of these photos in. I don't know why they're on the same PDF, but they are. And these are King Road photos. And there's like the good vibe sign that you could only see through the window until recently. But let's go back now to the Steptoe Village pictures. So these are the apartments. I mean, they're just graduate housing. This is where graduate students live. I went to this apartment complex in January of 2022. I knocked on the door of all of the neighbors who lived in the same apartment building that Bryan Kohberger lived in. And at that point in time, school still wasn't back in session from winter break. So this was right after the arrest. And there was a woman who lived below him, and she said that he was up all night. Like he would wake her kids up in the middle of the night. And what she mentioned that I thought was interesting was that she said that what he would be doing in the middle of the night that would awaken her children was that he was vacuuming. So I found that interesting that she said that he would be vacuuming in the middle of the night. And what do they find? They they find a vacuum, of course, right there in the closet. So he's a guy who's like nocturnal, basically. And he's waking up the woman downstairs and her children by vacuuming in the middle of the night. Weird. They made it sound like he was a big germaphobe, right? And there's been a lot of discussion about, oh, did he, people speculating, was he coming back? Was he not? He left Washington State University with his father in mid-December, probably like December 12th, December 13th, somewhere in there, to drive from Washington State to Pennsylvania. Some of the clothes in the closet were gone, but there still was clothing in the closet. So there was a good amount of clothing, like several shirts still in the closet. I can show you that right here. So there was still like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 shirts in the closet. He's a guy who wore a lot of dress shirts and stuff like that. I haven't seen anything about the dresser drawers or anything like that to see whether or not he kept his pants hanging in the closet. If he's as OCD as they say he was, maybe he's somebody who hung his clothes, his pants on a lot of hangers and things like that. So I don't know, maybe not. But he did have clothes in the closet. And here's another view of the bedroom closet as well. He's got some like allergy, kind of like allergen free, whatever pillowcase type thing, or maybe it's like a mattress cover or something like that. And I'm kind of wondering myself, I don't know this, but I'm kind of been wondering, is the Steptoe Village, I'd have to look it up, did they furnish these apartments in any way, or did he have to go out and buy all of this stuff? Again, he's supposed to be some germ freak, germaphobe. Is that something that he would have been, really intent on preventing, like a lot of allergens, germs, vacuuming, things of that nature? One thing I did find very interesting about this, here's the bathroom where the selfie was taken on the morning of the homicides, 10:30 a.m., somewhere, after the homicides, 6 hours or so after the homicides. This is the bathroom where the selfie was taken. I mean, it's spick and span. You see there's no shower curtain in there. His attorneys had said in court he would remove the shower curtain frequently to prevent mold growth, allergens, stuff like that. Maybe that's actually true. I mean, if all of this stuff is true about the excessive vacuuming, that you get the allergens, pillowcase, mattress cover stuff in the closet, maybe he was worried about germs and all of this stuff. He had a lot of time. We've got November 13th. That's when the homicides occurred, the early morning hours. He's taking the selfie, the thumbs up selfie, in this bathroom after 10 a.m. that morning, in this very bathroom, in front of that tile tub, that tile on the wall, of course, and then the tub. He's standing in front of it with the thumbs up. He leaves around December 12th, December 13th with dad to drive across the country. That's a lot of time. That is a long, long time to clean your apartment, bleach, whatever, to clean up any DNA, to get DNA out of there. If you even had any DNA left to be found in this bathtub after you cleaned yourself up. Keep in mind, he was taking hour-long showers, they said, in the jail, going through 3 bars of soap a week. That's what the inmates in the Latah County Jail reported. I can't even believe the jail was letting him take hour-long showers, but that's what the inmates reported. 3 bars of soap a week he was going through in the jail. So think about what he was probably doing every day in his shower. Plus, they would talk about how he washed his hands until they were red and raw. Um, I mean, he's like such a clean freak. It it makes total sense that they were not able to find any connection to him, between him and the kids. That there was no DNA of the kids in the apartment, in his car, and I haven't even gotten to the car yet. I mean, the car, I showed it on Crime Fix on Monday of last week. It was torn apart. They tore that car apart going through it. They didn't find anything because he probably went over it with a fine-tooth comb several times, getting rid of every speck of DNA. Bleach will kill DNA. That's all there is to it. So it wouldn't take that much for people who keep saying, like, oh my God, he got everything off of there. Like, you just take a little bit of bleach, dilute it in water, or even any type of cleaning product really is going to destroy DNA. And you just wipe it all over every surface that you might have gotten any DNA on, even on the seats. If there's upholstery, if it's fabric, if they're fabric seats, you can dilute these products enough that it's not going to mess with the fabric that much. Here's the bed. Is what it is. And next to the bed, he had a computer. And this is another thing where people have said stuff like, oh, he left with his dad. Like, was he going to come back? Was he not? Of course he was planning to come back. And it made it sound like he was planning to come back, even though it sounds like he was suspicious that they were going to try to boot him from the program, or at least, boot him as a TA. He's leaving all this stuff, the computer, the speakers. This is expensive stuff. This is in my mind. I'm thinking, if you're him, if you have your dad come out to help you drive back, you can't pack up all this stuff and take it with you. What message is that going to send to your dad? If you say to your dad, Dad, I'm coming home for the holidays. I need you to help me drive back. I think we can all deduce that he asked Dad to come out there, and he asked Father to fly out there and drive back with him because he needed to get that car out of there. He couldn't have that white Hyundai Elantra sitting there anymore in Pullman, Washington. That thing was hot. I mean, it was as good as being a stolen car, and he knew it. December 7th, that bolo went out to the public. I remember I was standing right there in Moscow. I had just interviewed the Idaho State Police PIO. Anything else, Aaron, you want to tell me? Anything else you want to tell me? Literally an hour and a half later, I'm out at the house on King Road, and this bolo, this news alert comes on my phone. Nope, that's it, Angenette. No, that's it for now. La, la, la. Literally, I'm standing out at the house at King Road, and this thing blares across my phone an hour and a half later that they're looking for a white Hyundai Elantra. So bizarre. So he knew. That's December 7th. He's getting ready with Dad, December 12th, 13th, driving home to Pennsylvania. That's like 5 days. I'd love to know when exactly BK calls Dad, Father, and says, you know what? I really, really need you to come out here and help me drive that car. I'm going to drive. I just don't want to fly. I need to know. I need you to come out here. So I'd really love to know when that whole thing transpired. Like when he called Father and Mother and said, I need somebody to help me drive the car home. I don't want to fly, or whatever he said. But this is the reason he did that. He had to get that car out of there. And the people from Celebrate told me that he was searching for car detailers and like used car places. So he was trying to unload that car and get rid of that car. and possibly buy something new. So he may very well have been planning to get rid of that car and then come back to Washington State University. There's no way in heck that he can pack this stuff up and pack up his whole apartment without dad being like, what's going on, Bryan? What do you mean you're packing all your stuff, like everything you own, and bringing it home? That's going to rouse too much suspicion with dad. Those are just my 2 cents on that. Oh, I see that Tayo Toys is in the house. I see in the messages in the chat. So I'm trying to do all this and talk while I'm also looking at the chat messages, guys. Sorry about that. So let's go on to our next photo. So here's the closet again, another view of the closet. Still five shirts left in there. I'm not seeing pants, but is Bryan Kohberger somebody that has 10, 12, 15 pairs of pants? I mean, I'm a woman, so I have probably 20 pairs of black pants. Do I need that many? No, that's an exaggeration. I don't really have 20 pairs of black pants. I have several pairs of black pants. Do I need all of them? No. But especially when I worked in local news, you had to, we had to dress. We were expected to dress a certain way. I could not go on the air like this. And when I worked in local news, that would not have been acceptable. So I have a lot of clothes and some of them no longer fit me. It's really sad. I was skinnier then. But anyway, he may have been a kind of guy who just didn't have a lot of pants and stuff. So maybe he just wore the same 3-4 pairs of jeans and then he packed them for winter break. What I do find interesting is the fact that they said he had all those black clothes, his like black cosplaying clothes or whatever. There's the WSU sweatshirt, the black WSU sweatshirt. And they said he had a lot of those clothes. None of that is in this closet. So did he take all of that stuff home for winter break? Because that's what he's snapping the selfies with. Like, I don't know. Just interesting to me. One thing, I interviewed this guy this past week and his wife, Brad Pierce and Alexis Pierce. They're married. Brad interviewed John Snyder, Bryan Kohberger's professor at Washington State University. Kohberger was his TA. Brad Pierce is a writer, and he interviewed Snyder. His wife works at the local bar, the Palouse Caboose, and he was like drinking buddies with them. So Snyder would come in after work and be like, yeah, this TA of mine is driving me crazy. Oh my God, he's such a pain, blah, blah, blah. Turns out it was Bryan Kohberger. So I reached out to Brad. He and his wife were lovely enough to talk with me about what John thought. John Snyder apparently said to Brad, this is likely going to be my first and only interview. So I spoke to them about just being like friends with John Snyder, hanging out with him throughout all of this. The fact that he thought Kohberger wasn't teachable as far as making him into a professor. He thought he was a pain. He didn't think he was that smart, that type of thing. And it wasn't a very good student, he said. So as far as him thinking he wasn't a very good student, let's go back to some of the photos. I've got a bunch of notes written here. These are kind of hard to navigate through in some respects, guys. I'm going to share my screen again. So, here's his iron. Very not interesting or anything. And keep in mind, again, guys, there was no DNA of the victims found in the apartment at all. Absolutely nothing. Zero. So nobody's saying that at all. So a lot of what you're seeing is totally irrelevant to the investigation. Um, now I'm okay. So let's go to this was kind of this is actually kind of interesting given what we know about his personality. So this was a birthday card. It's got Teddy Roosevelt on a dinosaur. It says both of your egos. And it has an arrow pointing to the dinosaur and an arrow pointing to Teddy Roosevelt. You are a dino and professor, LMAO. Speak softly and carry a big stick unless you can ride a dinosaur. Then do that instead. And apparently that's a quote from Theodore Roosevelt. And then inside it says, Brian, and this was on his birthday, 11/21/2022. So that was 8 days after the homicides. We knew that he had a birthday after the homicides. It kind of makes you wonder, was this some kind of like sick birthday present to himself? Like, I don't know, but this is redacted. So it makes me wonder, is this from a loved one? Is this from a sibling? I mean, Brian, that sounds like a nickname of some sort. So is this from a family member? Here's the kitchen. Some people have kind of voiced some interest in the kitchen. It's just, again, very plain. This is an apartment. It's a college apartment. You know, here we go. They photographed everything. Barkeeper's friend. That's just a cleanser. I use that cleanser. I think it's a great cleanser. It will take stains off of everything. If he used it, it would actually take the stains off. It would remove these kind of scratches and stuff, or at least it should. But what was really interesting, some people were voicing some interest in some of the things that he had in his freezer. Like, oh, here's some other stuff. Like, I saw people talking about that. Like, he had food in the freezer. I'll get to that in a minute. Some other people were pointing out this duct tape, too. I don't think this duct tape has any significance. I mean, there's tools in here, screwdrivers. You know, this is just like your kitchen junk drawer, right? You've got some tools in there, tape. That's kind of like what everybody has in their, you know, kitchen junk drawer, especially if you're a guy, single guy living in an apartment, Hamilton Beach, microwave thing, no big deal, empty drawer, silverware, no big deal. I mean, all of this stuff. I'm assuming a lot of this stuff, I could be wrong. This may be furnished or it may not. Maybe he just went to the store and bought all this stuff. But let's look at the freezer. He's a vegan, right? Lots of vegan stuff in here. Beyond Meat pizzas. So he was obviously adhering to that. He's a Walmart shopper. Great value. Taters, it looks like. Some type of potatoes, vegetables. You know, I'm wondering how much he actually ate out, because eating out can be quite expensive. So it makes me wonder, okay, was he, you know, did he keep a lot of food in the house because eating out was expensive? There had been a lot of speculation that maybe he was out trolling and visiting restaurants. And I don't know if that was really true, because if you're trying to save money, you know, this would be a way to do it. Go to Walmart and stock up on food. Cauliflower pizza bowl. I mean, seems like a vegan meal. You know, he's got tofu in there, almond breeze milk, some kind of follow your heart mozzarella, vegan cheese. So he's got an eating disorder. You know, we knew that. He's got this eating disorder. Just because he's vegan doesn't mean he has an eating disorder, but it was stated in court documents. He has an eating disorder, okay? So the veganism may have been part of that. Now we're going to get to the books. And I think that some of these books are kind of interesting. And I'll show you why. Obviously, he's a criminology student, right? He's a criminology student. So he's going to be studying things about the criminal justice system. He's studying not only criminology, the criminal mind, but also criminal justice. But this was pretty wild when I saw this. This stood out to me. He has a book by Jed S. Rakoff, Why the Innocent Plead Guilty and the Guilty Go Free, and Other Paradoxes of Our Broken Legal System. Was he reading this as part of his graduate studies, or was this just a book that he enjoyed? I don't know, but I find it very interesting that this was a book that he was reading. Also, A Trial by Jury. This was a used book. This could have been something for his PhD, his graduate level studies. We have another book, Charged, The New Movement to Transform American Prosecution and End Mass Incarceration. There's also one, Criminal Procedure, Law and Practice. If he was actually doing his homework, he knows about the criminal justice, system. He knows how things work, things going through the courts. Mass incarceration on trial. So he's interested in mass incarceration and how maybe it's really not the best thing. I find that to be very ironic and interesting, given the fact that he is now serving 4 consecutive life sentences. So, yes, he would have had these items, I assume, for his coursework. But think about what he's reading about. The innocent pleading guilty. He's reading about, mass incarceration and how it's not great. And he even wrote a paper about that. Here's one of those papers. Ethics, Law, and Society and Capital Punishment. The death penalty, at its height, represented one of the darkest chapters in American history, one which remains at the forefront of political debate, but has deeper implications regarding justice. Chama argues that the death penalty wields a special role in our cultural, legal, and political conversations about justice, a statement that will be analyzed with respect to the utilitarian and deontological ethics that shape the debate. So he's writing a paper about the death penalty. In the Washington State University interviews of faculty and staff, one of the students said that he was the only student in their class who supported the death penalty. Everyone else was against the death penalty, but apparently Kohberger supported the death penalty. Another little bit of irony there, given the fact that he has admitted to murdering 4 people in court, and he did so to avoid the death penalty. Like, he wanted to get rid of that thing. Like, get that thing off the table and I'll plead guilty. Like, even though he believes in it. I find that to be, I'm not surprised by it. It's just one of those things, like I said the other night, it's rich, right? And I'm not going to stand here and, applaud the death penalty. I have a lot of issues with it, but it's the law in a lot of states. And if you're not going to use it, get rid of it. The remnants of the cultural and political movements that fought social injustices clearly informed the legal conclusions in Furman, but the passion and fervor of a new era, one supportive of crime control, would eclipse movements that presumed the death penalty cruel and unusual. For after Furman, support for the death penalty burgeoned. So he's writing about the death penalty. In a lot of these papers that he wrote, he got like 87s, 90s. So it appears he was doing his coursework. Now, another one of these books, here's the books all stacked up. One was Research Methods in the Social and Health Sciences, and then the Mass Incarceration on Trial. Here's the other book that I found. This is a textbook, guys. This is a textbook. And I found this to be kind of startling when I saw it. And I'm going to do some more research on this book. Unsafe in the Ivory Tower, the Sexual Victimization of College Women. What? Was this something that he bought for a WSU class? Or is this something that he just had sitting around? Because if we look at this, this is the ships 2 is blacked out. But return information, textbooksnow.amazon, and the date is 1/9/2012. That's the date of the shipment. Sorry, guys, my dog opened my door there. Unsafe in the Ivory Tower. Refund eligible through February 11th, 2012. So this was a used textbook, I believe, if I'm understanding this correctly, from what I saw in another photo. Or maybe I mistook it for this other one, this other thing over here that's a used sticker. This is from 2012. Now, did somebody just give this to him? I don't know. This is blacked out. The redacted, the ships 2 is redacted. But if this was shipped to Bryan Kohberger in 2012, I'm trying to do the math there. He would have been 18 in 2012. I mean, I don't even know if he would have been studying this stuff back then. But this book shipped on January 9th, 2012 to somebody. And it's about the sexual victimization of college women. I'm going to look into this book a little more and get back to you guys on that. But that creeps me out because that's way before he would have been studying this material in school. He would have been 18 at that time. It's just really disturbing. Here's a view of the living room, the couch, again, the vacuum that would keep his neighbor up. This appears to be the bedroom. Over here, I'm a little confused. This appears to be the bedroom, unless this was a 2-bedroom apartment, or maybe there was like a den. Maybe it's bedroom and den area or something like that. I don't know. But that's just another view of the apartment. I'm going to go back to the other view of the pictures. Let the Lord sort them. The rise and fall of the death penalty. Here's the criminal procedure book. Here's another book, Crazy. Here's another view of that book, Unsafe in the Ivory Tower, the Sexual Victimization of College Women, Rise of the Warrior Cop, the Militarization of America's Police Forces. Now, a lot of this stuff, guys, is just stuff that a criminal justice major would be reading. Crazy, a father's search through America's mental health madness. I mean, that could be something like Michael Kohberger could relate to, maybe, he's got a son he's tried to help, and he's been a hot mess. Here we go on to research topics. This was particularly interesting because Bryan Kohberger apparently thinks cops are undertrained, and maybe they are, but in Bryan Kohberger's mind, at least, undertrained. To him, at least in my mind, I'm trying to get into his mind, and when I say that, I mean as an observer, not really get in there. But he thinks he's probably smarter than everybody. I mean, we know he thinks he's smarter than everybody. He wanted to get that police internship so he could, help these rural police departments analyze data because, rural police departments have so much crime. I'm being facetious. I know they have crime, but I don't think they have so much that they need all this help analyzing data. I mean, maybe they do, but I kind of doubt it. But he talks about, unfortunately, there is currently no training standard to which digital forensic examiners conduct analyses, confounded by the fact that local police departments are notably understaffed and under-resourced to rise to the challenges that arise from processing and storage of digital evidence. Now, we know from Celebrate that he knew a lot about erasing data, hiding his digital tracks. So he's got a big interest in this stuff. The extent to which local police officers are undertrained needs to be indicated in order to fully understand the needs of local police departments with respect to digital evidence, which few studies have explored. So he's telling you right there, he thinks local police departments, especially smaller ones, they don't know what they're doing, or they're understaffed, or, they can't do this stuff. Well, hello, that's why they get somebody like the FBI to help them. So the professor basically says assumption or fact. They kind of call him out on that on his paper. Up top, it says research topics. Topic 1, theoretically important, offender decision-making, emotionality, and burglary, with theft/material gain as the end. While an analysis of criminal behavior under the lens of the rational choice perspective considers the intuitive notion that offenders weigh costs against benefits when committing crimes, not all criminal actions reflect a rational instrumental process. For instance, crimes of passion involve reactive violence, which manifests due to intense emotional arousal, confounding notions of an exclusively cold criminal calculus. With respect to the limitations of the rational choice perspective, the minimization or exclusion of the analysis of the influence of effectivity on offender decision-making permeates existing research. English, please. Come on. It's too many words. Such a dearth of research surrounding emotions and decision-making, particularly regarding how emotions may interfere with the cost-benefit analysis of offenders. Interesting, cost-benefit analysis of offenders. He's talking about that. He did not weigh cost-benefit analysis. He didn't do that very well. Preclude a true apprehension of the intricacies of offender decision-making in various offense contexts. Further compounding this deficiency, studies surrounding the influence of emotionality on offender decision-making throughout the crime commission process are scarce, as is the variety of crimes included in the topics probing. Sex offenses and robbery are the only crimes discussed. So that is Bryan Kohberger's research topics. We have other papers. In one, his writing quality is assessed. Careful with flowery language and constant use of passive voice. It's harder to read and interpret. I just say write in English. Don't be so it doesn't matter if you want to be a professor. Write in English so people understand what you're saying. You don't need to be all like wonky about this. Just write. The best writers write in a conversational manner because it's the way most people read and can take things in. You don't need to get all like uppity about it. Let's see. We have a trauma quiz. Here on his trauma quiz, you raised some good points. Would like to see more use of the book to support your position. A little disjointed, but I don't focus on that for quizzes. He got a 90 on that. So she wrote, the professor, I'm assuming it's a she based on the handwriting, but I could be wrong about that. Lots of underlining on there. And here it appears we have a card from mother. A son leaves your home, but never your heart. He discovers his own happiness, which in turn becomes yours. So we know that his parents, his mother and father were probably incredibly proud of him for moving away, and he was on the road to get a PhD, on the path to get a PhD to become a doctor, coming from very humble beginnings. His sisters, I think, were both counselors. So this is really sad, like as far as his parents are concerned. Here's the closet. Somebody said he's messy. Yeah, he is pretty messy for somebody who's like OCD and a clean freak. I mean, he's got some mess here. It makes me want to go through my closets and cabinets and clean them up. He's got some kind of compass here, multifunction compass. I mean, was that for like, do you have some like multifunction compass for when he's like turning his cell phone off in the middle of the night and then maybe needed to find his way to go somewhere? I mean, look at all this mess. Marshall's receipts, Walmart. Look at this mess. Totally messy. Slob. I mean, we all get a little slobby, don't get me wrong. You don't want to see my office in spots. So we've got an evidence marker here up in the closet. This is that black thing I showed in the very beginning. I think it's like a latex glove. So there's the glove they found in the back of the thing. I'm sure they thought maybe at the time this was relevant, and maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But I wonder if he wore these to go into the house on King Road wearing all black, no skin exposed, black latex gloves. Lots of parking tickets. He was apparently not good at driving and not good at parking. Lots of parking tickets. He had talked to Professor Snyder about trying to outsmart the parking people at WSU. Got a check here from Washington State University, $1,001. I wonder if that was a monthly. Did he get paid monthly or did he get paid twice a month, biweekly? I don't know. He went to Moscow and Pullman Building Supply. Cash sale. He bought the black nitrite gloves, 100 pack. Some kind of tool set, Swiffer wet jet, a broom. It's weird he didn't just go to Walmart or something, but I'm Trying to see where this is. It was in Pullman, so it's like maybe he didn't know about the Walmart. Trying to see the date on this. Oh, July 1st, 2022. So that was when he first got there, because that's when he first moved there. So here is the improvement plan. Bryan Kohberger, November 2nd, 2022. Meet weekly with supervisor. It's at established meeting time. Keep track of weekly hours and provide report to supervisor. Establish weekly goals with supervisor and discuss whether previous week's goals were met during each weekly meeting, and make sure weekly goals are progressively harder to ensure progress throughout the rest of the semester. Got a CVS card. It looks like with like, are those little batteries, I guess? A CVS money card with, I think they're like they look like watch batteries or something, unless I'm just misseeing that. Here's the Marshall's receipt. There was a lot of, oh gosh, there was so much speculation about the Marshall's receipt. We got gourmet food, men's furnishings treatment for colds. We've got the Dickies receipt, one size fits all, $13. I know there was a lot of speculation on social media about some Dickies suit and him wearing a Dickies suit. I don't think $13 is going to cover a big coveralls Dickies suit. So I think we could probably go on Walmart and put this SKU in or something and figure out what this is. $12.97. That's $13. Dickies, one size. For all we know, that could be, I don't know if Dickies, do they sell socks? I have no idea. Oh, he bought a beanie. It's a beanie. $12.97, one size fits all. That makes sense. So the beanie, he was wearing a black beanie in some of those selfies that Dateline put out there, a black beanie. So I wonder if that is what that is. And everybody was like, oh my God, he bought a Dickies suit at Walmart. He did not buy a Dickies suit at Walmart. It's a beanie. And I guarantee you in that Dateline selfie, the one, he's wearing that beanie. So he could have worn that inside the house. I think everybody needs to get past the Dickies suit. Budget booking. Mile number something. That I don't know if that means a rental car or what. Bear spray. We've got bear spray. We read about that in some of the court documents that he had purchased bear spray. This could have been for hikes. I know that he would hike in Washington State. I think there were some stops in Montana as well. Bear spray is kind of expensive. So there's the broom he bought. The microwave. Looks like there's some kind of spot of interest that they photographed and swabbed, but as we know, there was no connection, no DNA to any of the victims in there. Here's another computer monitor. And here's more bathroom photos. There's some type of mark that they documented, but as we know, they didn't find anything in the apartment. Look, they went through the drain. I guarantee you they swabbed in there and everything, looking, because DNA can be down in the drain. So obviously they pulled this out to try to see if there's anything down there. But so much time had passed, and he could have poured cleaning solution down there. It wouldn't live that long, especially if he's taking hour-long showers. But they were probably hoping that they tag that and swab it and they'd find something. Oh, that's a lot of dust. Look at that. For somebody being super, I mean, maybe the OCD is just with his body, but there's dust for somebody concerned about allergens and OCD. That's quite a bit of dust. Here's the pillow. They were worried about, they thought the pillow might have a blood stain on it, but I remember one time my ear, it was like a year or two ago, something in my ear happened. I don't even know what it was. And some blood ended up in on my pillow. It had never happened in my whole life. And then I had blood on my, like a blood stain on my pillowcase. I mean, of course I washed it. But yeah, so here's this stain they were concerned about. It could have just been something like that. But nothing came of that. And I remember watching the Today Show one morning and them saying they found blood on his pillowcase, like, and they made it sound like it was one of the victims' blood. There was never any blood of any of the victims found in his apartment or his car. So they stripped everything. They're trying to find whatever they can. Here's another spot of interest that they, I'm sure, swabbed. So they photographed whatever they could, and look, they're looking in here to see if there's anything of interest in the vacuum. So there you have it, guys. I mean, they didn't find anything in the apartment, but that is what the inside of the apartment looks like. I'm going to look through some of your comments now. I want to move on to Donna Adelson. I actually, there were some other photos this week too from inside King Road. But I do want to move on to Donna Adelson before I wrap this up. And then I'll get to some of your comments and everything. And it looks like we have some new members. Thanks, guys, for joining and becoming new members. I really appreciate that. It's very sweet of you. I love that you did that. We have a question. Did he cancel the lease after he left Washington? No, not that I am aware of. And we have somebody from Milford, Ohio, Jim Graham. Thanks for watching. Everybody, Donna Adelson. Wow, that's all I can say. I think Donna, I'll be interested. The state has rested its case against Donna Adelson, but I'll be interested to see what happens with her this week. She's, I think she's in trouble. Remember, this is a conspiracy case. This is a case about conspiracy. She just has to be part of the plan. She just has to be a part of it. And so they've presented some compelling evidence against her. Donna is expected to testify. There were some jailhouse snitches, including her jail daughter, who testified on Friday. They presented a script, a journal of sorts with a script that Donna apparently wrote out for this woman to testify to. And then they presented a handwriting expert who said, yeah, this is Donna's handwriting. Somebody didn't make this up for her. I think it was a compelling case that the state presented. So she wrote the checks to Katie Magbanois for how many months, of Katie not even doing work at the dental clinic. Then this came up late in the day yesterday. Donna texts Wendy on November 6, 2023, during Charlie's trial. There's a verdict. Wendy says, I love you very much. Call me if you feel like you can. That was at 5:27. So she said there's a verdict at 4:57. Wendy says, I love you very much. Call me if you feel like you can at 5:27. At 5:31, Donna texts Wendy, your brother protected you for years. Now you are not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you. You can bury me in the dress that I bought for Lincoln's bar mitzvah. That is crazy. Wendy's not responding like, Mom, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? I think Wendy could be in some trouble. That's just my opinion. I'm going to go through some of your comments now. And it looked like we had some super chats and stuff that I'm going to go through too. Thank you so much, guys, for doing that. I appreciate it. And I thank you all for being here tonight. There are more photos that I could have gone through, but it's just a lot. And I just don't know if we could get through them all in this short amount of time. Lindsay Fishlung, thank you so much for the super chat. And thank you for being here. Willie, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. That is so, so kind of you. I appreciate it. And I really do appreciate everybody for coming in tonight. I know it's a holiday weekend, but I thought Saturday night, I feel like Saturday nights work out pretty well for us. So I thought, why not? Let's get in here and talk about some stuff. I'd like to get more into the Adelson trial another time because it's insane. Per Anderson is a new member. Welcome, Per Anderson. Thank you so much for joining the channel. I appreciate it. Let's get now down to our next little bit of people. I'm going through the comments and the chat so I don't miss anybody. Lindsay, thanks for joining and becoming a member. That's so sweet of you. Welcome. I'm wondering, does everybody have big Labor Day weekend plans? Edward Wood says, looks pretty neat except for the freezer. Edward Wood was saying that Bryan Kohberger's apartment looks pretty neat except for the freezer. Right. Except for the freezer and that closet area. I mean, everybody's got some messy places. Right. I mean, and that's just the way it is. I mean, everybody's got a messy spot. But yeah, I mean, just might not be very good at organizing stuff. Thank you for the super chat. Willie, thanks again for the sticker. Thank you so much. Very sweet of you. Lindsay C., thank you for the super chat or sticker, whichever one this is. Thank you so much. It's very generous of you. And Lindsay, thank you again. Thank you very much. That's very sweet of you. Jack Collins has gifted 5 memberships. That's amazing. Thank you so much, Jack. So I'm going to look. Mel sent me these new members. Welcome to Queen of My Castle, Dawn Claterman, Maximilian, Michelle L., and Linda W. Welcome to all of our new members. Thanks, guys. That's so sweet, Jack. Thank you so much for doing that, for buying some memberships for people. It's very sweet of you. I might gift some memberships sometime here soon. I should do that. Scrolling through, guys, to get to more of your super chats and everything. I see people saying, Joel C. says, interesting, he was on a plan only after 3 months. Right. He was on an improvement plan. There had been so many complaints from other students and faculty, and he wasn't doing his work, like his TA work. He was showing up to classes late for female professors. So he was really becoming a problem. I see Taya Toys is in the house. Speaking of ear issues. Yeah, ear issues, hilarious. But no, guys, it's all crazy. Ted Bundy, thank you. I can't believe I'm thanking Ted Bundy. How is this even possible? Thank you for the super chat, Ted Bundy. How does that even happen that I'm saying that? Well, guys, I really appreciate it. Oh, yes, beautiful messy ball. Oh, I haven't seen you in here in a while. Thanks for coming in. I am ready for CrimeCon. Are you going? So, guys, I am going to CrimeCon. I haven't even talked about this. I'm going to CrimeCon next weekend. I am leaving on Thursday, so I'll be in Denver on Friday of next week through Sunday. I'm going for work, so I will be there. I hope you stop by the Law and Crime booth and see me if you're there. We're going to be doing a presentation as well on Friday morning at noon Friday afternoon, I guess at noon, I guess is how you should really say that. Denver time on the Luigi Mangione case. Like I hate even seeing that guy's name because he really wants the attention. But yes, I'm going, and I have a fun announcement to make about this because I haven't really put it out there to anybody except on my LinkedIn page. But Crime Fix, my law and crime podcast, we got nominated for a Clue Award for best episodic podcast. So that's really exciting. So I'm nominated with 4 or 5 other podcasts, and one of them is Courtroom Confidential, my friend Josh Ritter. So that's pretty wild. We're like in this category together. So really cool and exciting to be recognized and nominated. So we'll see what happens. But that's just really cool. So yeah, I thought that was nice because the judges are, I'm a judge, but I didn't get, you don't vote for your own category, of course. And I'm not going to say what I was assigned or anything like that, the categories I was assigned. But, it's really cool that people in your profession, vote for you. So I thought that was really cool. So it's very made me feel really good. So we'll see what happens. But I will be at CrimeCon. So if you guys are at CrimeCon, please stop by the Law and Crime booth. I will be there. Looking through all of your comments. Taya Toy says, "Oh, neat." Yeah. So guys, I really appreciate you hanging out with me on Saturday night. Taya Toy says Josh has the largest ear canals in true crime. I'm going to tell him you said that. I'm going to tell Josh you said that. Bella Italian says, "We'll see you there in beautiful Denver. Please stop by and say hi to me." I appreciate that. So yeah, I'll be there. It's going to be a long week, but it'll be fun. Somebody the docket wanted me to ask Ted Bundy a question, but I'm really afraid to do that. I'm afraid people, I was supposed to ask you if it hurt when you met your maker. But I don't know, Ted, if you're still around, but man, you're a really bad dude, Ted Bundy. Really horrible, but I'm glad. I mean, whoever you are, if that's really your name, it's very unfortunate. But thank you guys. I appreciate you coming in. I have a video that's going to be going up either tomorrow or Monday. It's of my summer vacation, and it's really just meant for you guys to chill out and have a moment of Zen or two, let it take you away. Cause I think it's kind of relaxing. So if you get to watch that and you just put it on the TV and just enjoy it, I hope you do. There's some beautiful things in there. I'm not going to tell you where this happened, and I might try to throw some other stuff up too if I have time. But I'm looking forward to resting this holiday weekend. But thank you guys again for coming in. If you've been watching on replay, thank you for watching on replay. Please remember to hit that thumbs up. It helps the video, helps the algorithm. Please become a subscriber. Please join the channel if you would. And thank you to the mods, Melmac, Webby, Monty, Mo, the docket. And hopefully we'll get some other people to come in and moderate too. So everybody's not getting run ragged. But thank you again, guys. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. And if you're going to be in Denver for CrimeCon, I will do my best to check in from Denver too. And hopefully maybe check in sometime during the week. See you soon. Have a great night. Bye.